All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 147-pound division where we have the biggest fight in boxing in years. Errol Spence Jr. and his trainer, Derrick James, both disregard Terence Crawford's greatest weapon. And the question is, are they right to do so? Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford's upcoming fight, July 29th, the biggest fight in boxing. Big deal. Whole lot of talk going on about it, and I'm more than happy to do it because this is not a dry time in boxing. This is what everybody's been saying that they wanted to see. So now we're getting it, and we're going to be analyzing and talking about pretty much everything related to it. And in this particular video, we are going to talk about the fact that both Errol Spence Jr. and his trainer Derrick James have dismissed as a real threat the best weapon that many people think Terence Crawford has. Now, before I get into the details of it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you guys so much for your continued support. Really does mean a lot. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you real fast about today's sponsor, the Boxing Showtime app. It's a very useful app that keeps you updated on all things boxing, and you can keep up with the latest fights, where to watch them, the latest news, and a lot more. For any hardcore boxing fan like myself, and most likely all of y'all, I would definitely recommend downloading it. And it also is most definitely a big support to the channel. It's available for both Apple and Android, and you can find the link in the description below. Thanks for considering downloading Boxing Showtime's app. But let's get back into the subject matter of the video. I find this to be very interesting. Terence Crawford is been one of the top pound for pound fighters in boxing for the last several years. I would think maybe, man, he may be going on 10 years that he's been up in the top 10 pound for pound. It's been a while. He was there pretty much from the time that he was in the 140-pound division, since he was in the 135-pound division, I think. And one of the reasons that people have him up there is because they think that he is first of all, he's a very talented fighter. He's been a very successful fighter, and he has a lot of tools in his toolbox, is what the saying has been. And one of the most notable tools that he has had has been that he is somebody that will fight in two stances. He will fight in an orthodox stance, and he will fight in a southpaw stance. And many people, when they talk about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight with him, they bring up the fact that Errol doesn't switch stances, Terence switched stances. And what is Errol going to do with a guy that can switch stance, they can do all of these different things? Errol Spence Jr. has been asked this question, and Derrick James has been asked this question. Also, I have heard similar things come from other boxing, Hall of Fame level fighters, like Ray Boom Boom Mancini is the guy that comes to mind most quickly when talking about people that switch stances. And essentially, those guys are not impressed with it. Errol Spence Jr. says, look, man, there was a time when people were really thrown off by southpaw fighters, right? Switching to an orthodox stance against people that are used to you fighting an orthodox stance shouldn't really cause too much of a problem because you're used to the angles. The idea is that if somebody switches into a southpaw stance or they fight you in the southpaw stance, that everything is backwards. Your brain is not necessarily triggered and trained to respond to punches coming from different angles. You obviously have, your jab, somebody's hand, their strong hand is in front right along with your jab, which allows them to parry your jab, block your jab, cause you all kind of difficulties. So for Errol Spence Jr.'s part of it, he says, look, man, I'm not worried about about Terence Crawford switching. The only thing that I need to do about that is make sure that I stay very, very focused, and I notice when his hands change. As long as I'm focused and I realize that his hands have changed, then I should be able to deal with it, and I don't really see that being a problem. He also talked about in fighting southpaws in general and how he's had entire tournaments where he's fought southpaws, and he's fought, he spars a lot of southpaws. He's been in the ring. He's, fought professionally. He's fought southpaws. And so to him, he doesn't really think it's that big a deal. Derrick James has also said that, look, man, when you know somebody switches or you know somebody does something, then you prepare for when they do it. And if you prepare for when they do it, you know that they're going to do it, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. He also brought up the fact that, or his opinion that switching stances really can cause problems for fighters that are at a certain level. And when you're fighting you're fighting amateur fighters, or you're fighting lower level competition, yeah, those type of things and that type of strategy or change may throw off a lower level fighter. But when you get up to the upper echelon of the fight game, then people prepare for it. They see it. They know what to do with it. And it's not going to throw them off, because anything that anybody brings, you should be prepared for, because you know what they're going to do, and you work on those eventualities. Now, for my part of it, though, the thing that I would say about Terence Crawford and the switching of the stances is that Terence Crawford really doesn't switch stances that much. Terence Crawford pretty much fights as a southpaw. He in the beginning of the fight, sometimes he'll come out as an orthodox fighter. But whenever he comes out in the orthodox stance, he switches to the southpaw stance, and he fights in the southpaw stance for extended periods of time. And really, what I think he does with the southpaw stance is that he turns and he uses his southpaw stance for defense, and also to allow him to put his strong right hand in front and counter over the top of the jab with hooks, or counter with uppercuts on the inside, counter an uppercut with an uppercut, because both uppercuts are on the same side. So if he comes on the inside of the uppercut that you throw, boom. So that's what I think that he uses it for, primarily defensive reasons. However, I don't think that any of that stuff, I think the thing about Terence Crawford is that he is really his combination punching, and the fact that he can fight, he has quick feet going forward, quick feet going backwards. And the problem and the issue for Errol is going to be is whether or not he can really overcome the combination punching of Terence Crawford. There has been a time and get caught and not see something and get hit with something he doesn't see, right? And so in that, I think, has been the things that have really wound up hurting the fighters that he's fought against. He's got a very good uppercut, very good hook, but we'll see what happens in the fight. I don't think that anything is going to be a surprise to anybody fighting. I don't think there's anything Errol Spence Jr. is going to bring that Terence Crawford is not already going to know about, not already have seen. Those guys know boxing. They have films of every fight, of all of Errol Spence Jr.'s professional fights, if not the very early ones, the majority of the ones, all of the ones since he's had won a championship, and all of the ones before that. Same thing with Errol Spence. Errol Spence Jr. himself says that he doesn't really need to watch any more film on Terence Crawford, because he always watches Terence Crawford fight anyway, and he's watched all of Terence Crawford's fights, so he knows how he's going to fight. And that is really the thing that's going to be interesting, is that the book is going to be out on both these guys. And the idea that somebody just switching their stance is going to somehow baffle and confuse somebody that knows it's coming, now I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, I just wanted to give you that, man, because people are in the comment section talking about Errol doesn't switch stances like Terence Crawford. Man, I can go Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer that did not switch stances. And I can also talk to you about a whole bunch of people that switch stances and get beat. So that one particular thing is not make it or break it for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford really doesn't talk about it like it's make it or break it. Really, the thing that they talk about is his punching power and the fact that he's been a very strong puncher at 147 pounds. And I think that that's what Terence Crawford's going to need. However, Errol Spence, even in that regard, said, look, man, I'm going to taste his power. So I know what he's working with. I'll be like, okay, this dude can crack a little bit. I need to be a little careful about this, careful about that. At some point in time in that fight, people are going to get hit. That's no doubt about it. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.